now that I can figure some things out, this will be better going forward. We're going to try and jump on here a few days a week. I don't know right now, basically, schedule wise, what I'll be doing. And I'll be very honest, having a 4 month old does not allow for much easy just jumping on Instagram on the fantasy live show, excuse me, the fantasy lunch show during the afternoons. I'm sure she'll be on and all that stuff. But what I'm going to be doing is maybe to counteract that or to make up for that, jumping on here at night. Now, as I said, as of right now, there is no waiver wire weekly on Bleacher Report. That's their call. Nothing I can do about that. Unfortunately, like I said, they're taking their video stuff basically out of the New York offices where I worked out of, and they're doing that in Vegas. I don't live in Vegas. That's just that's how it works. That's all I can tell you. I don't know if things will change. Hopefully, they will in due time. What I can tell you is I'll be on the fantasy lunch on my Instagram, and I appreciate all of you that have joined me there. But for the days, by any chance, it's not 5 days a week on there. I'll be getting on here at night, and I'll be getting on here for things as simple as this with my fake background of a bookcase. But I will also be trying to do more and throw graphics up and make something of Waiver Wire Weekly on a Tuesday, and maybe make this something on a Sunday. Assuming I could get pretty good at making some decent graphics for that, so it's not just basically me putting up Word files. I'm going to do that, and that's what I'd like to do and help you guys out. We're going to put some on my Facebook as well, so those people know what's going on. But I appreciate you guys sticking with me. That's very cool you did that, and the kind words. Another thing, a lot of people asking about the podcast. Basically, I just don't want to throw one up there with no preparation, with no promotion. That's going to get, that's going to hurt the podcast. That's going to hurt, I think, the quality of the podcast. Some things have to be settled, honestly, once again, with Turner and with Bleacher Report before I'm ready to put that out there. They are not settled yet. I hope they will be settled very soon. It's kind of out of my hands right now. I can tell you that if I have the ability and everything goes well, there will be a podcast, and there might be some different ways to do the podcast this year. So because of that, I just didn't want to rush it. Simple as that. All right, all the BS out of the way. Here's what I want to do for you guys tonight. I'm going to take your questions. I see the chat open. That's cool. We'll get into those. Also, I have my rankings up, and I'll put these up in the chat so you guys can always know where they are. They were updated late Sunday night, so basically up to date as it stands right now. If you want to save my rankings, if you want to just have them for bookmark reasons, there they are. Matt Camp preseason off the tiny URL. What I want to show you guys is I have projections. I can't put those in on Fantasy Pros, but if you want an idea of where players stand, I'm going to show you that tonight. If you have players, you look at my rankings and go, why is this guy here? I'm going to show you what my rankings look like and my projections. So let's get a couple questions. Bear says, doing a best ball PPR starting at 7 spot in a few minutes. Who do you like there? So Bears, I would say this. That spot has been kind of a mess. Not a mess in a bad way, just you don't know what's going to be there. Is someone going to skip over Zeke and he falls down to you at 7? In a best ball, I would take him. That feels like a spot where you could potentially see any of the receivers you really want to go get there. If you want to get Hopkins, he could be there at 7. If you want to take Devonta Adams, he could be there at 7. If you're in on Julio or Michael Thomas, I'm cool taking those guys. If you just don't want to mess with Le'Veon Bell, another year of James Conner, Joe Mixon, I'm okay with any of that. I would say this is anytime you have a question about your first round pick, if you have serious pause about a player, then don't take him. There's more than enough there. Why do you have Zeke at number 1? And what format would be my question? Because I know I don't have him number 1 and everything. Here's what I'll say about Zeke. I'm not making any major moves on him right now. Like I have Barkley number 1 in. I have Zeke number 1 in standard. Okay, so I don't have my standard projections. Well, they're all the same projections, but you'll see why in a second. So let's bring these up for you. If you're asking about a player and why I have him where I have him, I'm going to show you what I have for projections for the season. Also, let me throw this out there to you. I don't like to project decimal points for touchdowns. And by the way, a lot of the people that you follow for projections will project that. And I'm okay with that. Whatever. The yardage and the catches, they're going to result in decimal points anyway. For points, I don't like to say this guy's going to score 4.5 touchdowns. So, and touchdowns are very tough to project anyway. Very kind of fickle. So here, let's show you guys you want Zeke numbers. So let's give you Zeke numbers, okay? Here it is. I'll give you the Zeke numbers. So this is my PPR, but it shows you where I have him in total touches and touchdowns and all that stuff. So let's bring that over so you can see it. So here's where I'm at with Zeke. You can see based on PPR, he's 3. Now, catch-wise, he's lower than those other 2 guys. Yardage-wise, he's higher in terms of rushing yardage. So the catches don't mean as much to him as much as they would mean hand in front of the camera, for Barkley or McCaffrey. I think that's pretty understandable to see. Here, let me get over here so you guys can actually see me while I have this conversation. So, other side, dummy. All right. This is where I have these guys. You can see how close they are. You can see there's a divide there from the first 4 guys to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9. There are tiers here. Melvin Gordon's in a weird spot. I get that. What I'm basically saying to you guys right now is that I believe Zeke will be on the field week 1. I think the Cowboys will make a point to pay him. I don't know if the Chargers, hell, they dug in on Bosa. I don't know if the Chargers are going to do the same when it comes to Melvin Gordon. It might take a couple weeks to decide he has to come back. That's why I have him at 9. I have less faith in Melvin Gordon opening the season. Now, this could change. We are very, very early as it is. You can see it right now. It's August 6th. It's so early. We're a month away from the season. So much can happen between now and then. So I don't want to overreact to anything that's going on right now. There are injuries that could pop up there that mean absolutely nothing in a week or 2, in 3 weeks. This Andrew Luck thing we could be laughing about, going, oh, yeah, he didn't have to play anyway. What do I care? I just don't want to go too crazy about this stuff. Now, like I said, I think the Chargers, I've said this on multiple videos. I've said it on radio, you name it. I think the Chargers are better equipped to say we can dig our heels in on Gordon. Because they have Justin Jackson, because they have Austin Eckler, and those are proven guys. The Cowboys have Alfred Morris, who honestly probably wouldn't be even with a job right now if he didn't play for Dallas 2 years ago and he didn't play in Kyle Shanahan's system, which helped him. 2 systems that he knew. I would also say that the Chargers have a better quarterback. I think have a better overall team. Not that the Cowboys are bad. Their defense got a better as things went along last year. They became a defense to worry about. The Chargers also have a very good defense. I just think the Chargers are a deeper team. So that's why I have them where I have them. If Melvin Gordon reports, he's very likely going to move up to that 6th spot. If he's going to be there week 1, I'll bump him right back up to 6, where me and probably many other people had him. All right, where would you draw your tiers on the PPR RB sheet? And I guess this would tie into the Kamara question. So the thing with Kamara here is, as I look at all 4 guys, what separates them? I think Saquon Barkley can do the most. And by that I mean he might be the best all-around running back in the NFL. And from an opportunity standpoint, I'm not worried about him with the Giants because he's going to be game flow proof. By that I mean he'll still get touches. He'll be catching passes. We saw it last year when the Giants were losing. I don't worry about that. McCaffrey probably, is more reliant on receptions, but not as much as Kamara. So, and I also like him. If you looked at how would you rank the teams that these guys are on, I'd go Kamara, I'd probably go Elliott, and then I'd go Carolina, and the Giants are 4th. By the way, Arizona would probably be 5th there. But part of that is also, I'm going to move this over a little bit while I'm talking so you don't see half of my face. Part of that is also, there we go. Still learning my OBS system. Part of that is also the fact that Arizona could win 5 games, but they'll be good for fantasy. I think the Giants aren't terrible from a fantasy perspective, but I don't think they're going to be very good. So I think that's kind of where touchdowns comes in. If you ask about projections, touchdowns are kind of random. You'll see where I have touchdown numbers. I think Barkley's one of the rare guys that on a bad team I have no problem calling him for 10 rushing touchdowns. I'd probably throw Elliott right in that range too. You also think about who else could score. Are these red zone guys? Do the teams have red zone guys? I mean, you go down to like Marlon Mack. I have him for 8 touchdowns. If they don't have Ebron and Doyle, Devin Funches you throw in there, Luck could rush him in. Maybe I bump him up a little bit. Kamara and McCaffrey. I think that's a matter, really, to me, of McCaffrey getting more carries. The Saints have Latavius Murray. He's not Mark Ingram, but he'll fill that role. To me, McCaffrey in Carolina is absolutely, without a doubt, their most important player outside of Cam Newton. For Kamara, you could say it could be Michael Thomas. You could say, that Kamara still has Latavius Murray to deal with. McCaffrey doesn't have anybody to deal with. The next most important player, target-wise, on that team is DJ Moore. And while I understand why people are excited about him, and I get it, he's not on the level of Michael Thomas. So I throw that kind of stuff into there. Projection-wise, coaching staffs. I'm looking at, trends that we can see from the past. I look at target share, what's going to be left over. It's a reason I'll show you right now. Target share is a very important reason why I like someone like I do, like Vance McDonald. So we're going to show you the tight end numbers here in a second. Vance McDonald, as you can see, is my number 7 tight end. Why? Well, when you're leaving open such a wide number of targets available, as we now have in Pittsburgh with Antonio Brown gone, 24+%, then there's a chance for Vance McDonald to eat up that. Yeah, it could be James Washington. Yeah, it could be Dante Moncrief. But I also see a player who's pretty damn good and was a top 10 tight end last year. I'm not even bumping him up that much. I'm putting him at 7. But I feel like he might be the one to benefit from maybe the most, maybe not the most, but certainly could be one that benefits more than others have projected as it relates to, targets that he could acquire, targets that he could eat up in the absence of Antonio Brown. Look, we know I'm not saying anything that, guys don't know. We know that Juju's going to be busy. Of course he's going to be busy. There's no doubt about that. But it's who's the next guy up. And we did a show on Sirius after the draft, and we kind of did a winners and losers thing. And I said one of the biggest winners of the NFL draft for fantasy was Vance McDonald because they didn't really add much. Yeah, they had, you have James Washington and you still have Juju there, but it's not like they went and got a big tight end with all the names that were out there. And they could have been a team that went after a tight end. So that's something to think about there. Where would you draw your tiers on the RB sheet? Let's go back to that. Sorry, I shouldn't have changed that up. So tier-wise, I would say it's Barkley, McCaffrey, Kamara, and Elliott. I think it's those 4. Then I think it's David Johnson, kind of alone. I don't think James Conner and Mixon and Bell are that far off. Here, I could bring these numbers out a little bit so you can see them. And then you can see where I have these guys, at least point total-wise. And this is PPR. Just so you guys know, point total-wise, this is PPR. So here, you can kind of see. I'll bring this up so you can see this more. Let's bring these out a little bit. And then you can see the point total. Sorry. Once again, thank you for bearing with me. We're learning this for the first time here with everybody else. All right, so here's point totals. You can kind of tier them out based on that. You can see the divides there, the gaps between players. And I know you might go, man, there's a 100-point gap between 1 and 9. Look at the fantasy points from last year because that's about where it was. If you guys have questions, please continue to throw them in. Certainly looking to get them to you. So you can kind of see where guys get tiered out. I would say that Nick Chubb, Damian Williams, Kerryon is where I'd end the RB1 tier. But there's tiers within that RB1 tier. I think you get into the RB2s with Gurley and Freeman and White, Aaron Jones, Jacobs, Ingram, Carson, Fournette, Mack. I'd call all those guys solid RB2s. Then I'd probably step down. I think Henry and Coleman and Tariq Cohen can certainly be solid RB2s. Not that we're that far off there. Then you get into guys like here. I'll bring this down a little bit more. I look at guys like Coleman and Cohen and Sony Michel and Lamar Miller and Miles Sanders. You'd rather have them as RB3s, but they can play at an RB2 level. Um, Montgomery, I still think is getting a little overrated. And I say that because I don't want to ignore Tariq Cohen. I don't want to ignore the fact that Chicago, yeah, they gave Jordan Howard a bunch of carries last year, but they did still spread the ball around a lot in general. It was really tough to peg a bear to be a superstar on a given week. Tariq Cohen was probably the best of that, but there would be times where he would drive you nuts. Lindsey, you've had to knock down. I certainly have. I did anyway because I thought we'd see more of Freeman. But then on top of that, I think bringing in someone like a Theo Riddick only hurts him that much more. So just some ideas on tiers there. Latavius Murray, I think, is a great RB3 who could play at an RB2 level. Kenyon Drake, honestly, Kalen Balaj, very tough to figure right now. And I feel good about Drake's role in the passing game, but I wouldn't be surprised if Balaj had more carries than him. So a couple ideas there on how I do tiers. Mars, first year in a dynasty league, one quarterback PPR, traded Melvin Gordon, and Russell Wilson for Ito, Chubb, and Mayfield. Well, you did okay. I think you did a solid enough job. I wouldn't be too mad about that trade. I don't care about Ito much. I think that the trade's okay. The Gordon thing's kind of tough because I still like him better than Chubb, but I don't think they're that far off. So, not a bad deal. J Chain, I want to thank you and your Deep Sleepies for winning my league. Yeah, Deep Sleepies. Might be a Deep Sleepies article coming this year or something like that. I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm thinking about doing something that is going to allow you guys more access to me. I have considered Patreon. I don't know if I'm going to do it, though. I don't know if I can offer enough to take money from people. But I'm throwing it out there because that might be something where like, oh, you get my Deep Sleepies 2 days earlier, or something like that. I don't know. I don't know if I have enough to offer, and it might be just too early to do that, but we'll see. But there could be a Deep Sleepies article this year. We're working on that. Legends, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Took Zeke at 7. Bears, I'm cool with getting Zeke at 7. If you want to take another back there, that's cool too. Hey, another thing I was thinking about doing on the Twitch channel is maybe some mock drafts, maybe some best ball drafts, and you guys jump in with me, and then we discuss them as they go. The only thing is I like to use Play Draft, and unfortunately, and maybe I guess I could put it up on we could do that. We could put, like, this is up right now. I'm going to pull this down here for a second. I could put the Play Draft board up on the Twitch, and then that's kind of how we monitor it because we do. So we do the Play Draft best balls on Sirius, and what I like to do for those is here. I'll bring up wide receivers just so you guys can see them while I'm talking. We like to show people the board, and my problem is that Play Draft does not allow you to show the board to everybody. And there's guys and whoever, anybody who wants to participate wants to see what we're doing. And, on my fantasy league and other ones, like we did these drafts, I put the link up from our Superflex draft and the drafts we did on the radio over the weekend. You can see the boards. You can follow along so you can kind of learn something. Play Draft, unfortunately, doesn't allow that. And I really would like to do that so you guys can be involved, or if you're not in it, you can follow along and ask questions. But anyway, I would like to do some mock drafts. I'm sure you guys would like to do drafts with me and be involved. So let's try to do that in the future. Maybe that'll be our next Twitch event. Is we'll do a draft, whether it be a best ball or a mock, and I'll put it up on here and I'll talk about it as it goes. And you guys can be involved with that. I would assume, and you can sound off in the comments if you would be interested in that. We'll get a mock draft or maybe a best ball draft going. We'll do a freebie if it's a best ball just to start, and then we can talk about it as we do it. So that would be kind of cool. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this on Twitch, but this is a decadent bacon French toast IPA. If you know, I do the Thursday night football beer of the week. This is our Tuesday night Twitch beer of the evening. Bacon French toast. Leakage in the night. Any early league winner predictions? Let me give you one right now. Miles Sanders. I was in on Sanders before the hype that has been started up. that is only going to move him up draft boards. I'm going to bring up some ADP information because he is on the way up. Here's the thing. Some of you are going to go, how can I get that involved with a running back that has to deal with Doug Peterson? And I totally understand that. I get it. I totally get it. I understand it. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong about that. What I will tell you is I'm going to try and give you this ADP information so I can put it up so you guys can see it. Yeah, this should work. I don't think the Eagles have had a running back at the talent level of Miles Sanders. I firmly believe that. And if you go back a couple of years, LeGarrette Blount had like 175 carries, led the way. They had nobody in that realm last year. I think that you can put Miles Sanders into that conversation if he gets you 100, as I have him for 173 there. I'm putting it up for you. You can see it right there. If he gets in that area, that's not asking a lot. That's not asking for some of these other lead backs, the 215 area, the 200 area. That's just saying make him the guy, and in that offense, he should be able to do a lot. I think that's a league winner. I think that's a guy you go get, you take him as your third running back in a good offense, and you're playing the odds, you're playing the belief that he will be the guy and that you don't have to worry about Jordan Howard too much. Because I say this as well. I'm not worried about Corey Clement. I'm not worried about Adams. I'm not worried about Darren Sproles. With a guy like David Montgomery, for instance, I am worried about Tariq Cohen. I am worried about Mike Davis. You can't, put that out of your mind. Tariq Cohen's a really good football player. Eagles don't have anybody like that. So if Miles Sanders continues to get this hype, it continues to go at the level that we're all hearing about in camp, and it only builds up in the preseason, he's going to start going higher. I'm going to see if I can show you this average draft position board here from Fantasy Pros. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Let's pull up a browser and show it to you guys. No, that's not it. Hold on. I got it. Let's do this. All right. Let's see if we can show you this. We're going to take this down. Once again, I'm learning, folks, and I apologize for that. That's not good. All right. Maybe not. Yep, this is not going to. Oh, that's me. All right. We're going to take that down. I'm going to try and show you that, but ADP here. So, all right, let me just tell you now ADP information because I think that's a key for a lot of you. Miles Sanders right now is in a PPR RB34 86. I mean, you're taking him as a low end RB3. That's all he has to be to your team, and I think he can play at a top 20 level. That's a league winner to me. That's a guy who outplays his performance. I don't think it's the same kind of ceiling. I throw Latavius Murray into that conversation. Latavius Murray, RB39, 101.8. I think he's a perfect RB3. Dare I say Carson Wentz is a league winner? QB10, 92.2. He's my number 6 quarterback. I'll give you one I like later. I like Devin Funchess, who was wide receiver 55. I think he'd be a top 30 receiver this year in that offense. I truly believe that Devin Funchess stepping into an Andrew Luck-led offense can be that guy. So, a couple of league winners off top of my head. I think Kerryon Johnson's in that conversation, but I think everybody's starting to get in on Kerryon Johnson. Kerryon Johnson's right on that cusp of 12-13 to me. He's going off the board as RB15, 31.4 ADP information there. Here, I'll just give you the link. I'm going to work on finding ways to show you this better second time around. So here you go. Here's what I'm looking at. Do you think Tyreek Hill will be available at 16? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. When Tyreek Hill was cleared, it took any indication that he would be, still available in the second round or middle of second round. Tyreek Hill's ADP is already up to 15.2, wide receiver 6. That is where I have him, I believe. I'll just double check that. In PPR, yeah, I have Tyreek Hill at 6. I have him higher in non-PPR, by the way, because he's not as catch reliant. If he's there at 16, you snatch him up. If you want to take Tyreek Hill at 13 or 14, go ahead and do so. If he's there at 16, I think it's a home run. Do you think Gurley will play hard for the first half of the season again? I think what you mean is he going to get that kind of workload? And I have brought up the idea that Todd Gurley could be on a Kawhi Leonard type load management early in the season. There's so many things that are pointing to that idea. They didn't use Todd Gurley in the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl, Todd Gurley barely played, barely touched the ball. In the Super Bowl, a close game. They matched the offer sheet that Malcolm Brown had to go to Detroit. They draft Darrell Henderson, who is far from a plotter. He's got some explosive nature to his game. And they take him in the third round. Where does this add up to say, oh yeah, Todd Gurley's going to be a busy guy again this year? That's way too many safety nets they have installed to say they're just as safety nets for Todd Gurley. Now, let me bring up the rankings once again. Because I'm not like ridiculously down on the guy, but here's where I have Todd Gurley. Okay? Todd Gurley is RB 14. It's not a bad season, by the way, for Todd Gurley. As I bring up, I'll show you the whole board here, so you guys can see everything. So here's where I'm at with Todd Gurley. You see the numbers. That's not a guy who's not busy. It's just not as busy as last year. That's as simple as I would say that. So I think he could be a guy that if they're not sure where the knee is at, and there's been, is it arthritic, and his trainer said something, and Jay Glazer said something. Nobody's been like, he's 100% healthy, there's no concern, and I don't take anything that the Rams, McVay, or Gurley says as an endorsement of the guy being healthy. Whatever, that's how they do things. So, with all those things that have happened since the Super Bowl, it's hard to go, Todd Gurley, bang, top 5 guy. Could they give him like 12 to 15 carries a game and a couple of catches as opposed to, what he did last year, and then they ramp it up as they get towards, the playoffs and the important part of the season? Sure. Yeah, that could happen. But to think that maybe he starts off a little slow, I think that's fair to say too. Look, he could definitely still play at an RB1 level, but I don't think you have to take that chance. There's enough really talented players that you don't have to reach for Todd Gurley. By the way, Todd Gurley ADP, right now it's RB9, 13.8. With everything that's happened this offseason, it's hard to get involved with him at that ADP. Would you take Kelce in the first round of a 10-team PPR? Leakage, no, I would not. Now, there was talk when Tyreek Hill looked like he was going to get suspended that Kelce should be a first-round pick, and I understood that. Kelce operated last year as a mid to low-range wide receiver 1. And because of that, he should be treated as a wide receiver 1. I saw him go for like $34 in this auction we did the other day for the Flex Leagues on Sirius. And he went for cheaper than other wide receiver 1s. And sometimes I think people see TE next to a name and see a player and they go, oh, well, he's not worth as much or he's not worth as high of a pick. And sometimes you just got to cover up the name and look at the production. Here, I'll show you my tight end stuff. So there's Travis Kelce for the season. Those look like wide receiver 1 numbers to me. The points are as such. Okay, so let's just show you that. 279.4 would put him at number 9. That's a wide receiver 1. Now, is that a first-round wide receiver 1? No. But you want to take him in the second round, and you want to take him within the first 15, 16 picks, go ahead. No problem. You have a distinct advantage over everybody else at tight end for the most part. I mean, you see where I have Kittle to step down for Kittle. Kittle, there you go. There's Kittle, 248.5. That would put Kittle at the 14 range. A high-end wide receiver, too, where he operated last year. Ertz in a PPR, 244.8. Once again, a high wide receiver, too. These are probably third round picks. That's fine. End of the second, maybe on the turn. Sometimes it's better to just cover the name and then look at what the production is. Would you trust Cam Newton? Here's where I have Cam. I'll tell you some quarterback numbers. I have Cam at QB9. QB9, and you can see he's close to QB8. No issue with how Cam performed last year before the injury. All signs say he's healthy. Of course, it's a matter of him staying healthy. The rushing numbers, as you can see, I have pretty strong there. 534 yards, 5 touchdowns. Maybe even underrating him a little bit as a runner. Would I trust him as a QB1? Sure. Might be a player, unlike, let's say, Mahomes, Luck, Watson, Rodgers, Mayfield. Maybe not Wentz, but Ryan, Drew Brees. Where instead of saying, well, I'll pick up I'll pick up another quarterback when I need one. If you draft Mahomes, I wouldn't draft another quarterback. If you draft Luck or Watson or Rodgers or Baker Mayfield or Matt Ryan, I'm probably not taking another quarterback. Wentz maybe. I understand injuries are going to pop or that the injury thought is going to pop up with him. But with Cam, maybe you want to go get some Tom Brady insurance, some Kirk Cousins insurance, some even Garoppolo. I'm okay with that. But yeah, if he's my QB1, a healthy Cam is going to probably outperform QB9. But I have to say, I've built a little injury concern into what his ranking is. All right, any other questions? So here's what we're going to do. Keep an eye on my Twitter. I think we're doing a fantasy lunch tomorrow, probably around 12:30 Eastern. So on my Instagram, get me there. But we're going to try to do more on Twitch at night because that's kind of be my trade-off. I think the next time, and I hope you guys be into this, we'll try to do a mock draft or a best ball so I can put the board on the screen here. And then we can talk about the picks as they happen. If we do a play draft best ball, it's quick. It's 30 seconds in between picks. We'll be done in 50 minutes. We can talk about it as they happen. You can see my process. I'll talk about that. So if you guys are interested, I think we'll do some kind of draft, a best ball on play draft or some kind of mock draft, and then we could talk about it. So we could do mock drafts on Twitch, and then you guys can draft along with me and ask me questions as it happens and all that. And a little bit of learning experience. We do them on the radio all the time. So check that out. By the way, if you have Sirius XM radio, if you have the fantasy channel, first of all, you now get streaming with your subscription. If you didn't know that, and now comes with your subscription, just got to make a username. But we're on Sirius 210 XM87. I'm going to be on tomorrow night. So actually tomorrow night, probably not on Twitch. We're not. We're going to do fantasy lunch. I'm on from 8 to 10 Eastern on The Drive with Ray Flowers. And then on Thursday, I'm also guest hosting on Football Diehards from 6 to 8 Eastern. Bob Harris, great to work with him. And then this weekend, 3 to 5 Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, back with Joe Dolan. And then next weekend, I'll be in Canton, Ohio at the Pro Football Hall of Fame 2 Saturdays. So that's like the August 17th. We're doing 4 drafts there. 2 auctions, 2 snake drafts, 6 hours of coverage. Really fun time. A lot of smart people in the industry from... I feel like every big company's represented there. I think we had like Brad Evans there last year, guys from NFL.com, a couple of guys from CBS were involved. So really good drafts. The auction stuff, we jump in live with that. So definitely listen into those. Check out the stuff from this weekend, the stuff on demand. 3 different drafts. We did Superflex with 2 quarterbacks. We did the traditional snake draft, and we did an auction. So I put the boards up on my Twitter yesterday. You could see how those all teams shake out and where guys went. By the way, Superflex 2 quarterback league, nobody took a quarterback in the first round, and only 2 quarterbacks were gone by the second round. So if you think you got to take quarterback early, you don't in the 2 quarterback leagues. And then we did an auction draft. And you can see how the prices went out. Who would you handcuff Damian Williams PPR? It's Carlos Hyde right now. And I'll say this about Damian Williams. Let me bring up his numbers here real quick. I'll show you guys. So Damian Williams, I'm not worried about his role in the passing game. Not at all. My number 12 running back, as you can see. Here, we'll expand this a little bit for you. I would just say this about Damian Williams. You got to be careful with Damian Williams. Here, I can move myself over. Oh, I'm learning some things. You got to be careful with Damian Williams because... Here's why I'm saying that. Because he's never had this big of a workload in his career. And that's got to be something you think about. I mean, not even close to the workload that if he's going to lead the Chiefs this year as their lead running back, this is a massive workload change for Damian Williams. And as much as we can be excited about the Chief offense, that's something that you have to consider is that the guy, I'm going to bring up his numbers right now. I'm going to bring up his career numbers for Damian Williams. Remember, he came out of nowhere basically anywhere. He's been in the league since 2014. Here's Damian Williams' rush attempts. 36, 16, 35, 46, and 50. He's never rushed more than 50 times in a season, and he hit that number last year. Targets, 27, 28, 32, 28, 24. He's never had more than 23 targets in a season. He's played 74 games. So he's missed what? He's missed 6 games over that time. So I get it. Lead running back. Kansas City Chiefs, a lot to get excited about there. But it's a massive workload increase if he's going to be the guy. And that's definitely something you have to consider. You see the numbers there. I'm not down on the guy. I expect, regardless of what happens, if he struggles as a lead back and they go to Hyde more, he's still going to be involved in the passing game. That's still going to keep his numbers up. I don't want him to drop into a Tariq Cohen role, and I don't think he will. But I don't want to go crazy with this carry number anyway. And by the way, I don't think the Chiefs have to overwork Damian Williams on the ground. I don't think they need him to play a role similar to Kareem Hunt in that much of a in that high of a volume kind of offense. I don't think they have to. So I think he's fine where I have him. Let me pull up ADP here so you guys can get an idea of where he's going. By the way, I put the link up there. That's pretty good consensus ADP information for Fantasy Pros. Damian Williams right now is going off the board as RB. He's moved down a little bit. RB 13, 27. So I actually have him a bit higher than where he's going. So I think that's fair to put him there. So let's see. How many leagues are in this year? Oh, right now, I don't even think I've locked that in yet. I have a league that I've been in, my home league, since 1997. I'll be doing that one. I'll likely be in one of the serious host leagues. I do a league with Joe Dolan, another league with Joe. I'm trying to cut it down. I just, you know why? It's not that I don't want to be in them. It's just the waiver wire is where I get killed. I'm too busy, and I don't get, and waiver wires come at different times, and some are fab budgets, some are just the order. It's a lot to keep up on, and I'm too busy. Like my priority is to help you guys, and sometimes my team suffer because of that. So I feel like I get in too many leagues. I'd like to get to I've been in 5 to 9 for the last 10 years, somewhere in that area. I'd like to play in 3. I'm in best balls and all that, so I got a bunch of those already, but I'd really like to keep it to 3. But that probably won't happen. It's worth giving up a 12th round pick on Williams versus Sony Michel in the 8th. Oh, I would definitely do Damian Williams over Sony Michel. So let me show you Sony Michel numbers here. As you can see, I'll scroll it up a little bit. 26. Still give him a bunch of carries. I think he's the guy. I'm not overly buying into the Sony Michel's a receiver thing because James White was so damn good at it, and I don't think that's going to change much. I do worry that they drafted Damian Harris, who you can see I don't have Damian Harris super high. I have him down at 53, but I have him for 115 carries. I mean, it's not like the Patriots loaded up in the passing game, even if Gordon comes back. So, no, I would absolutely keep Damian Williams. The ceiling's higher because he's going to catch passes. You got it, leakage. Do you think Brady starts to fall off? And it's weird because he's one of those guys that's probably better in reality than he is for fantasy. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but right now Brady is going off the board as QB 17. He's actually moved up in the world a little bit. I think he's a perfect QB2 to get in best balls. You don't have to draft him. I have him at 18, but I have him right there at the QB 16, 17. I mean, look, I mean, you could see. Look where Brady is at 291.8. Look where Mitch Trubisky is at 297.5. I mean, that's a touchdown almost. That's all that is. It's not a big gap. I still like Brady. Here's what I would say about Brady is Last year, he wasn't great, which is fine. But he also had the ability. Like, Brady finished 16 last year in total fantasy points. 16th at the position, I should say. Okay? Actually, 15th at quarterback here. I'll bring that up. So Brady was the number 14 quarterback in total fantasy points last year. Uh, what I would say about that is what I don't worry about when it comes to Brady is, let me see if I can pull this up for you guys. What I do is I track where guys place every week so you can get an idea of their best performances in a given season, like how many top tens do they have, all that stuff. I'm gonna try to pull it up right now. All right, let's see if you can see this. You may be able to see this actually. Let's see. Um, let's see if I can pull this up for you guys. All right. So Tom Brady last year had 8 top 15 finishes, 4 top 10s, and 3 top 5s. Certainly not bad numbers, right? Not great. Only 4 top 10s. You go, oh, he didn't really kill it. But also pretty solid. Not spectacular, but pretty solid. But I always still believe that Brady could put up a big number. And I'm not going to shy away from that. I mean, he opened the season 8-17, 29-16, 2-11, 5-19. So, you got numbers all over the board there. You got some finishes outside the top 20. You got some top 10s in there. You come down to the final 4 weeks of the season. He finished 1st, 13th, 30th, and 6th. He finished 30th in week 16. If you started Tom Brady in your fantasy championship, he did not help you whatsoever. Do I bank on that? Do I expect it to happen? No. Let's take you down the stretch. From week 12 on, after his bye, he finished 13th, 15th, 1st, 13th, 30th, 6th. Tom Brady had 2 top 12 finishes in the last, from weeks 12 through 17. That's why he's not ranked as high. And I think that's fair. I also still believe that Tom Brady can put up a given, if he's got to play the Chiefs and he's got to go nuts, I think he can do that. That's what I would say about him. Let me see if I can pull up the ranks now. Oh, here we go. You can see this now. You can see. Let me pull that. Let's see if we can get this for you. All right, so here you go. You can see there's Brady. I'll move it over a little bit so you guys can see this. I track this for every position. There you go. So you can see Brady there. A little small, I apologize for that. But 8 top 15 finishes, 4 top 10s, 3 top 5s. You see other guys there like Mahomes was money, Luck was money, Deshaun Watson, money. These guys were top 10 quarterbacks. It's by the way, and I'll show you the top of the board here. It's top 5, top 10, top 15. That's what this looks like here. I'll show you the whole thing if I can. So you get a feel for consistency, and I'll show you another one. Here's a good one. Look at Josh Allen, 6 top 15 finishes, but 5 finishes in the top 5. That's a really high number compared to Aaron Rodgers, who only had 4 top 5 finishes. So believe it or not, Josh Allen had more top 5 finishes than Aaron Rodgers. Who would you rather have? You'd rather have Aaron Rodgers, but it shows you the volatility there. So I like to track numbers like that. Is Kelce worth drafting over Davante Adams at 6? No, absolutely not. Davante Adams might be the best wide receiver in fantasy football. I throw Kelce into like the 8 spot at wide receiver. I have Davante at 2. So that shows you where I have those guys. Let me show if I can bring this up here for one time. Let's see. Projections. There we go. Okay. So there you go. There's where I have Davante Adams. And then there's where I have Travis Kelce. So we're talking about a point differential there of what? 20 points? Yeah. You're not taking Kelce that early. You don't have to take Kelce that early either. I get wanting to go get him, but you don't have to take him that early. All right, I'm going to wrap it up for this evening. Thank you for bearing with me on this. You can go back and watch it. I'm going to start putting these up on my YouTube as well, so you can see them there. We'll be doing more of these. Tomorrow will be a fantasy lunch, probably around 12:30 Eastern. And then maybe we'll do another one of these Twitches on Thursday night, maybe after I'm on the radio. So anyway, fantasy lunch on Instagram tomorrow. Follow me there if you haven't yet. Probably around 12:30 Eastern. More of the same stuff. I'll be on Sirius 210 XM87 tomorrow night from 8 to 10 Eastern. Thursday night from 6 to 8 Eastern, and Saturday and Sunday 3 to 5 Eastern. More ranking updates probably over the weekend, unless something major happens over the next couple days. No reason to tweak things when nothing's really major going on. I haven't really touched luck. Haven't really touched, obviously the Gordon stuff we explained, but some of these other nagging injuries haven't made a big deal of. So hopefully you guys like this. We're going to try and jazz it up a little bit more. I'm still kind of learning everything about Twitch and all the fun stuff we can do with it. I want to make it as interactive as possible. If you guys are interested in doing those mock drafts or the best balls on here, let me know. No, Fantasy Camp is not over. Fantasy Camp, I'm just want to make sure I launch it the right way. I would love to tell you more of what's going on. It's been a bit of a stressful month for me in terms of figuring out everything I'm doing for the season. That's as nicely as I can put it. But Fantasy Camp will likely be back at some point before the season begins. And I will likely be adding a little bit something to it to make it more of a fun show. I want to add a new layer to it, and I want to make sure it's launched correctly as opposed to just going, I got to do a podcast because we're into the season or we're into the preseason. I don't want to just rush it. So I'm making sure kind of all my ducks in a row, and then we'll get it going. But I'm making sure you guys can get a hold of me here on Twitch or on Instagram with a lot of the same stuff I'm going to cover. Oh, I can tell you this. I shot 2 videos today for Stadium, which you can watch for free. They'll be up. It's fantasy football preview shows. We shot them today. I could do them from home, so they will be up. I think the next 2 Mondays, there are segments about overvalued, undervalued players that we'll have on there. Watch Stadium. Follow Stadium on Twitter. It's easy to watch. You can watch if you have Sling TV. It's on there. I have Sling. You can literally watch the Stadium channel, and then you can also watch it online as well. I will put links out for that kind of stuff, but right now, with the podcast not up and running yet, some other stuff not up and running yet, I'm still waiting on hearing from some potential big things. I want to give you other ways to interact with me. So we have the Twitch, we have Instagram. You can always get me on Twitter. You can always get me on Instagram. If you have questions, send them directly there. Facebook.com/TheMattCamp23. And then here on Twitch. So make sure you follow along. And I'm trying to get the follower count up and then keep this consistent because then I could be an affiliate and do more stuff and more ways to interact with you guys. So, yeah. While we're working on getting Fantasy Camp and everything else going, I'm making sure that you guys can find me here, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it may be. So I appreciate you sticking with me and your patience. I'm trying to practice patience myself with all this stuff going on. Thanks a lot. I'll see you tomorrow, and make sure you follow along and share this if you enjoyed it with other people or looking for ways to interact with fantasy analysts because I'm here for the people. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.